Hey guys, welcome to English 3010 Online. My name is Mitchell Shumway. I'll be your instructor for this semester. And so this is going to be the first of what are going to be a series of weekly videos in which I introduce key concepts to you guys, talk about the stuff you'll be doing each week, kind of prep you for any assignments coming up, and talk about the things that you guys are working on. So basically what's going to happen is each week, at the beginning of each week, Monday, usually Monday night, I'll upload a video like this that's just supposed to kind of orient you guys to the work that you'll be doing, as well as address any questions or concerns you guys have had, over the previous week, stuff like that. And so this should always be your first stop each week when you begin your work. So if you have any questions, any concerns, any comments about assignments, readings, etc., always check the video first, because this is really going to be our kind of first and main point of contact. Now, periodically, I'll also upload other videos throughout the week, especially if we're coming up to a big project. I might, upload a video that takes us through some of the core concepts that you guys are struggling with, or walks us through some examples, stuff like that. But there will always be at least one weekly video at the beginning of the week. So for this one, I want to use this time to just kind of introduce you guys to the class, talk to you about the Blackboard shell that we'll be using so that you guys feel comfortable with that. And just to talk about kind of my expectations for 3010 online. Now, because this is an online class, you're going to have to be largely self-motivated, right? So that means that it's up to you to stay on task week to week, to follow along with the schedule. Make sure you guys are keeping up and don't have any questions. If you do, obviously get in contact with me. If you're struggling with anything, if you are unsure or confused about anything, then it's up to you to contact me, right? And I'm happy to help. I'm happy to make adjustments to things to kind of accommodate whatever struggles that you're having. But I always have to know about those things beforehand. Okay, so let's talk about this course in general and talk about the Blackboard, and then we'll get down to what you'll actually be doing this week. So when you click on our site, or if you're in my section 003, it's the same exact thing. I'm teaching two classes, but both the online shells are the exact same. So this applies to both classes. So when you click on your Blackboard site, this is what you'll come to. Usually I'll have an announcement out every week, just telling you when the video is up or anything else going on. But you can also find those on this little bar over here. So the first thing that I want to do is I want to talk about the syllabus for a second. So the syllabus that I sent out, I think last week, has been updated a little bit. I forgot to allocate points to one of your assignments, so that's been adjusted on the new syllabus. So make sure that you're working off of the one on Blackboard, because that is the most current one. All right, so let's take a look. So English 3010, the goal of this class is to prepare you for writing and thinking and acting within the professional field that you're interested in. So not only is this class largely, you have to be largely self-motivated, but you're also going to be investigating things that are very personal to you, topics and fields and issues that are very closely related to what you want to do professionally. And so throughout our projects, we'll be investigating the community that you want to join, the things that they're doing, the topics that they're interested in, and finally giving you an opportunity to participate in one of those discussions. Okay, so let's kind of gloss through here. All of our assignments are centered around these learning outcomes: read, write, research, and reflection. So each week in each project, you'll have an opportunity to develop yourself as a critical reader, as a critical thinker, develop your research tools, your research practices and methods, and then to think kind of reflectively about the things that you've done and how can you, make different choices, better choices, whatever it is. We do have a required text for this class, the Wadsworth Guide to Research. Primarily, this will be a kind of a support text. We'll do a lot of reading out of it, but all of the things that you're reading in that are geared towards helping you develop your skills as a writer and as a researcher. Any supplemental texts that aren't in the Wadsworth Guide, I'll provide you, and I have provided you on Blackboard, so you don't need to buy anything else besides that book. In terms of our projects, these are our major projects. We've got a research guide coming up, genre analysis, lit review, and part of the lit review will do a multimodal presentation. I'll explain that later. A formal research proposal and a reflective letter. So really there's four major projects. This one goes along with Project 3, and this is almost like a final exam, but it's just kind of a final reflective letter you'll write to me in the last week of class. As you'll see in the syllabus and on our weekly breakdown folders, each of these is really fleshed out in detail, and you'll be able to see more of those as the time comes. Paper formats, I expect everything to be double-spaced, Times New Roman, etc., etc. and then this is important because the way that you use citations, MLA, APA, Chicago, whatever it is, should reflect the community that you're joining. So if you find out that your community is like a science community and you use primarily APA, then I want to see you using APA. If your community uses primarily MLA, then that's what I want to see. Okay, so I don't want to spend too much time on the syllabus, but let's just kind of go through here. So throughout the semester, you'll be doing blog posts. Each one's worth 10 points. You can see our breakdown here in terms of assignments. You'll see that Project 3 and Project 4 are your two biggest assignments. These are essentially, this is essentially a revision of Project 3A. Again, you'll see more of that. Okay, grading scale here. Attendance policy, because this is online, the attendance is really tracked through like you participating and doing the group work that I'll be setting up and so on and so forth. But obviously there is no show up and sit down in the chair component. Okay, this is an important one that I want to take a time to talk about. So plagiarism is something that's very easy to do on accident, but also something that is very easy to do on purpose if you run into trouble. So plagiarism, as you guys probably know, is the act of copying work and claiming it as your own, or using someone else's ideas, or not citing properly. Essentially what it is that you are taking credit for someone else's ideas, work, words, etc. And so what you're going to have to be careful of when you do all these research projects is that you are properly citing. It's easy to do that kind of accidental plagiarism where you forget to cite something or whatever. Now in moments like that, obviously I'm not going to hit you with like a penalty really. I'll remind you, but if you continue to do it, then we'll have a conversation. However, if you do knowingly copy an essay or try to take credit for something else, with the intent to pass it off as your own, we're gonna have a problem essentially. All of your assignments are turned in through SafeAssign, so we will be able to detect any plagiarism. And if you do it, it could result in you failing the assignment and/or failing the class. Now, here's the other thing that I want to stress: plagiarism also refers to self-plagiarism. I don't accept work that has been done for other classes, be it former 3010 classes that you took or other classes. This is a new semester and a new class, and so I expect you to do new work. That means if I get an essay back and it shows that you have submitted the same essay for either a former 3010 class or for a different class, you will fail that assignment. I expect you to do new work. If you have any questions about that or concerns, email me and we'll talk about it. So this is the other thing, because it's an online class, there's kind of an etiquette clause that I want to talk about. I only respond to Wayne State email accounts. I won't send anything to anyone else, any other account, even if it is your official account. It has to be Wayne State. Watch out for these reply alls. Make sure you're just replying to the person that you want to talk to. Don't give out my email address or any other material to anyone outside of this class. And then just kind of be courteous in your email. So every email should have a subject. It should have a greeting, hello, Mr. Shumway, hi, Mr. Shumway, whatever it is, and a signature, you know, sincerely, thank you, best, whatever it is. It's a good opportunity to start practicing, you know, being professional electronically, because these are the things that is going to really matter when you get into your field. So keep that in mind. I'll let you guys look over these other policies, but I don't accept late work unless we've arranged some sort of pushed back deadline beforehand, and I will generally accommodate those moments, but just keep in mind it's not a guarantee. So if you do have a problem, get a hold of me beforehand. Also, the work zone or the writing center, which is in the UGL, is available to you guys should you need it, but I'll never require you to go there. Okay, so here the syllabus also has assignment descriptions on here for you to look at. I'm not going to go through those right now, but they're there for you. Projects 1 through 4, and then the weekly schedule, which is also reflected in our weekly folder. So let's take a look at that. All right, so the most important thing that the Blackboard is going to do for you is going to give you a breakdown of what you do each week. So once you go to this weekly tasks and assignments thing, you'll see these folders pop up. So each folder is broken down into projects and weeks. So you can see Project 1 we'll be working on for 1 through 3, Project 2, 4 through 6, etc., etc. And so what you're going to do is each week you're going to go to the appropriate folder. So Project 1, you'll see the breakdown of Project 1. And you go to the correct week that we're on. Okay, and each week will look something like this. You'll have kind of a general overview, a kind of a guide, and then the day-to-day schedule. And then this is recommended. How you work through these things each week is up to you, unless it's, you know, deadlines. Those things are mandatory. So let's take a look at what we're doing for week 1 then to get started out. Now, week 1 is going to kick off our work on what's called a personal research guide. Essentially what this is that this is your first moment where you start to track the different elements of the professional community that you want to join. So whether it's, you want to be a lawyer or a doctor or an engineer or whatever it is, this is where we start to figure out what that actually means, what that field actually does. Now, part of your assignment this week is to read this assignment description, but we can just take kind of a quick overview of it. Essentially, what we're going to be doing for your community that you want to join is identifying the kind of elements that make it a community. So it's public goals, how do people share information, what kind of information do they share, what genres of communication do they use, what key features or what kind of language do they use, then how does one join that community. So these are the elements that you're going to be identifying throughout your personal research guide. Now, to get started on that, we're going to do a little bit of reading to figure out how to actually define a community in general. So let's take a look at your work for this week. So the first step is to watch this video. Hi. Your second step is to just kind of read over the syllabus, looking at anything we didn't cover. The Project 1 assignment description that I just showed you, which is also on your syllabus. And then you've got a couple readings out of the book. Essentially, this is going to kind of give you an overview of 3010. And then this one is going to really start to talk about conducting research and the idea of a rhetorical situation. Now, rhetorical situation, what we're talking about is all the factors that influence communication within a particular moment in time. So right now, the rhetorical situation of this conversation is me speaking to a camera, you guys watching the video. These are all things that are confining the way we communicate. So the other thing that we're going to talk about is this Swales reading, this discourse community, which is under the readings header. Now, what Swales is going to do is he's going to give us 6 key factors that help us define a community, and it's those 6 that I just read to you: the language, the common goals, the parameters of membership, etc., etc. And it's those 6 criteria that we're really going to use to figure out what makes your community that you want to join a community. So how do people communicate? What are they saying, etc. And then this Wikipedia entry will just kind of give you another overview of that. Okay, so that's your reading for the week. What I want to stress, though, is this idea of discourse community is very foundational to the work we'll be doing for the next 6-10 weeks before we move into more of a kind of argumentative style. And so really spend some time thinking about what makes your community tick. So when we're talking about a discourse community, what we're talking about is a community that is centered around communication, that idea of discourse. And so how your group communicates kind of defines how it accomplishes its goals, who it communicates to, who understands it, etc. And so basically we're thinking about like what makes a group of people group together, and then how do they communicate within that group. And that's our goal. For Project 1, because once we figure that out, then we can move into, okay, now that we know how they group together, what are they talking about? What do they care about? How can I enter that group? And that's the ultimate goal. And so this is just step 1 in that process. And so you've got a couple tasks this week besides your reading. The first task is to do your first blog post, which you will see is linked right down here. You'll just click on this. It'll give you your prompt, and you just create a blog entry. Your other task for this week is to take your syllabus quiz. Obviously, it's open book, open note. I'm not sure I could even police that. Just making sure that you've hit all the correct or all the important elements of the quiz. And there's only one other quiz that we'll take this semester, but this is number 1. Okay, so let's look at Monday. Obviously, we didn't do anything because class just started, so here's our first day. So these are the things you should be doing. By Friday, you should be reading Swales. And then Sunday, midnight, your blog and your quiz are due. Okay. So listen, I'm really excited to be working with you guys this semester. I look forward to reading your work, to getting to know you guys. If you do have any questions or concerns, please email me and we'll get that all sorted. And I will talk to you guys later.